Hey guys, it's Amanda. Welcome back to my channel. If you usually watch me, you can probably see I am in a new location. I am kind of in the process of moving to my summer apartment, so if you want a moving vlog, let me know because I am figuring that out, hence why there is like nothing. But as you might be able to tell from the title of this video, today I am going to be talking about why I no longer have a dream job slash career, why I no longer am dreaming of labor, all those things. I recently watched Catherine and Lynette Adkins' videos on this subject, and they both really inspired me to think about my relationship with work and what I want in a career slash if I want one at all. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. This is honestly going to be a pretty chill, laid back video. I feel like I do have a slightly different perspective on this because I actually have not worked a full-time job for an extended period of time because I'm still in college. So, you know, obviously this is not really an advice video per se because I don't really know what it's like to work a full-time job for an extended period of time. So definitely take what I'm saying with a grain of salt or a heaping teaspoonful. But over the past year especially, I feel like I've reached a point where I realized that I don't really care what I do for a job or career as long as I am financially stable, happy, and not working myself to the bone. But before I get into all that, I would like to thank Verb Energy for sponsoring today's video. I am definitely someone who is a coffee fanatic. I have had 2 separate coffee beverages from 2 separate coffee shops today so far, so this is where Verb Energy bars come in. Each bar is infused with green tea and has the same amount of caffeine as an espresso without the crash. Verb has 6 core flavors: vanilla latte, salted peanut butter, double chocolate, blueberry crisp, lemon raspberry, and coconut chai. My personal favorite is vanilla latte. Verb Energy Starter Kit contains 1 full bag of 12 energy bars in your flavor choice, plus 4 extra bars in their top 4 selling flavors for you to try, and free shipping is included. It's really hard for me to buy something if it doesn't have free shipping, so I love that. 16 bars, free shipping, and it averages out to less than $1 per bar. So click the link in my description to try a Verb Energy starter kit for only $12. Okay, back to my career motivations or lack thereof. Okay, so a little backstory on me. I was just like never that kid with a really intense dream job. I had a lot of different what I want to be when I grow up things when I was younger. My first one, I wanted to be an ice cream man. I wanted to be a vet. I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a fashion magazine editor. Me and my cousin, every summer we would make a fashion magazine called Fashion Bash, and I was the editor-in-chief. Also wanted to be an interior designer. Me and my cousin would also like get shoe boxes and design like miniature rooms out of a bunch of like arts and crafts, like random stuff, and use like pizza tables and just like random stuff we found in the house to like make these tiny rooms, and then we put frogs in them. So wanted to do that. At one point I wanted to be an architect. I wanted to be a chemist. I feel like I was always someone who wanted to do a little bit of everything. I never had any sort of laser focus in my life. But when it came time to apply to college, I was like, this is a problem because I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I want to major in. Basically, the only thing I knew is that I realized that I could excel in any subject and like I could get A's in all my classes, but I didn't really like any normal school subject enough to like want to pursue it in college, and so I did not pursue any of the normal school subjects. When I was applying to college, I basically applied to everywhere undecided because I just didn't know what I wanted to do, except for the school that I currently attend, which is NYU, where I am a film major. I applied to be a film major at NYU because I thought it was cool. I felt like I heard a lot of good things about NYU and like the film school in like pop culture references, so that was basically my reasoning to apply here. And I always just thought film seemed interesting, and I'll say it seemed interesting to me. I was not passionate about it, nor am I passionate about it, because I've definitely realized passion and interest are not the same thing. I didn't know anything about the film industry or about movies before applying to here and before coming here. I was just like, this seems cool. Was this a very expensive gamble on an interest? Yes, but that's the truth. That's what it was. It was an interest. I totally like remember writing in like these essays for college and scholarships and stuff like, this is my passion, this is what I want to do. But looking back, I realized that all it was an interest. There was like no proof that I had a passion for film. I made like 2 short films in high school, and that's the extent of my passion. Like that was it. Like that is not a passion, that's an interest. So anyway, I ended up coming to college here, and it was disorienting to realize that everyone here knew, or at least acted like they knew, exactly what they wanted to do in film, and that they seemed like so, passionate and hungry for it. And I don't know, I just felt like I didn't really fit in, because I was just like, I had no intention of like making film like my whole life. I was just like, this seems like a cool thing, like I'm here to learn. Like I don't want to spend every single weekend working on a set for free. So I did not do that. When I came to school, especially in the first year, at the beginning of every single class, the teachers just like ask everyone like, what do you want to do? And I always said, oh, I want to be like a writer and a director and a producer. I had a producer on at some point too. Even though the truth was, I was like, I don't know. And frankly, I don't care. Like that was the truth, but I felt like I had this obligation to like seem like I knew what I wanted to do, or that I really wanted to do something, or else like no one would ever take me like seriously. And honestly, I think that's sad. First of all, I don't think like 18-year-olds should have to know what they want to do in life. And more importantly, I feel like we should normalize not having a dream job or career. Like we should normalize the fact that a job is just a thing that gives you some money, and that's all. Like it doesn't have to be your whole world. It doesn't have to be your whole identity. It doesn't have to actually be what you love. I especially realized this when I had a lot of anxiety and worry over how I was going to pay for school, because I was like, I don't really care if I'm a director or a writer. Like I just want to have some money to live comfortably. Like I just realized a certain job wasn't gonna make me happy. Just having a comfortable lifestyle is all I wanted. And this only came to me when I started to be really honest with myself. Even if you're doing kind of a seemingly like fun and creative job, like working in the entertainment industry, I was like, as long as I'm not overworking myself, and as long as I have like enough money to like live, I would probably be just as happy as a director as being an accountant. I feel like I was able to come to this realization kind of in the midst of the pandemic, especially when I was like taking this philosophy class, and my main takeaway was that like the main thing that brings you fulfillment in life is relationships in your life. And I don't know, that doesn't really have anything to do with work. And also the fact that I was kind of like gaining success and getting achievements in certain areas of my life, and I realized they didn't actually like make me that happy. Basically, when I kind of realized that, when I realized like it doesn't really matter what you do for work, I think I was lost for a second. After I became disillusioned with the idea of working and having a career and stuff, I was kind of just like, what is the point? Like, what is the point of all this? Like, why am I doing this? Why am I going down this, industry that's like honestly kind of competitive to get into and get a job in? And like, why am I even doing this if this isn't really gonna bring me joy? And honestly, what I really had to think about was like, I felt like it was actually like liberating to acknowledge that like work doesn't necessarily have to bring me joy. It's not supposed to bring me joy. It's just supposed to bring me money to like, so I can pay rent and, eat food, basically. Basically, my new perspective that I had to get was like, don't put expectations on work to bring you joy and happiness, because no matter what it is, it's usually not, unless you approach it in a very certain way. So the thing that really allowed me to have this perspective shift was reading this book called So Good They Can't Ignore You by Newport. And what he said in that book really made sense to me. And it's also funny because Newport in this book, it might like on the surface seem like hustle grind, like here's how you succeed in a career type of like advice thing, which is obviously very contrary to the whole point of this video, saying like I don't have a dream career. But a lot of the stuff he writes is honestly more about like working smarter rather than like harder and just like burning yourself out. The main point of his book is to say you should not do what you love. You should not follow your passion when it comes to finding a career. And he argued that the passion hypothesis, which says that the key to loving your work is to match a job to a pre-existing passion, is bad advice. There's little evidence that most people have pre-existing passions waiting to be discovered, and believing that there's a magical right job lurking out there can often lead to chronic unhappiness and confusion when the reality of the working world fails to match this dream. So basically his follow-up to this statement was, so if follow your passion is bad advice, what should you do instead? It's contended that the traits that define great work are rare and valuable. If you want these traits in your own life, you need rare and valuable skills to offer in return. I call these rare and valuable skills career capital, and noted that the foundation of constructing work you love is acquiring a large store of this capital. With this in mind, we turned our attention to this process of capital acquisition. So in order to gain career capital, he argues that it's important to adopt the craftsman mindset, where you focus relentlessly on what value you're offering the world. This stands in stark contrast to the much more common passion mindset, which has you focus only on what value the world is offering you. The concept of like a craftsman mindset is what really changed my perspective of like a job and what I'm going to find fulfilling in work. You know, I don't want to necessarily have a job where I'm like hating it and dreading every moment, but I'm also just realizing that like just because I'm going into a certain industry, it doesn't mean that it's gonna make me happy. And I've also realized that like external validation of like awards and accolades and money isn't what's gonna make me happy either. I think what's gonna make me happy is like adopting a craftsman mindset and being like, and really like working on a skill and kind of being able to master something, whatever it might be, and kind of just go from having like nothing to something. Like that's really satisfying because it's like transformative. It's like you're actively like using your hands or your brain or whatever to like build up something that wasn't there. So I've kind of realized that like my new definition for hard work is adopting the craftsman mindset and is like trying to build up my skills and like get better at them, not necessarily for like the sake of money or accolades, but because it's like satisfying to like start from here and go to there and like see how you can kind of like challenge yourself, whether it's working with your hands or working with your brain. I only realized like the level of satisfaction and fulfillment that this kind of like craftsman mindset can bring until this year. And my major example of that was this short film that I've been working on. I started the idea for this script in spring of 2020 in one of my writing classes, and I didn't actually end up filming and directing it until a whole year later in spring of 2021, which was very recently. The process of making that was like my first time ever really working on one thing for such an extended period of time and like really thinking and transforming it to be like exactly how I wanted it. It was so satisfying. Like before this, I don't think I've ever worked on a film project for like more than 2 weeks, from like inception to like post-production where it's like completely done. And this like was kind of over the course of a year. I mean, I wasn't working on it like all the time the whole year, but like I mostly was really intensely working on it this semester. The transformation of it was like a lot because I kind of just like honed it down from a kind of very high concept production value thing to kind of like the core things that mattered about it. But like I went through so many drafts and so many rewrites and so much like planning for directing it. And when I finally finished that, I was like, wow, I have never actually been like proud of something I've done like this. And I think it's because I just really spent time on it and I was like really like a craftsman and examining every little thing. And that was satisfying. That brought me joy to see this script go from nothing to a short film. I mean, it's not done yet, it's still in post-production. But I just realized like that is what's satisfying. I feel like I can apply that with any skill. It doesn't have to be writing or directing or whatever, I feel like you can apply that in most jobs. I will say it's obviously different and a privilege to do it in more of a creative field or a white collar sense, because there is work that's like service industry work and blue collar work that is like kind of like really hard on your body and like backbreaking, and it's not physically good for your health to like always do that. So I totally understand that, because like I've worked in those type of industries before as well. Yeah, I guess I've just started looking at work in more of like a vacuum of like kind of just like treating it like a game of like, how can I get my skill in this particular thing that I need to do for this particular job from like 0 to 100, just for the fact that like that's what the job is. It's not about necessarily like pleasing an employer or breaking my back for work. It's just like, how can I like build up my skill, not how can I get the most amount of money or how can I get the most amount of joy out of this. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that has helped me so far, looking at work from that perspective. Even though I don't necessarily like agree with like the whole corporate system of like all these companies just growing to grow and to expand and to just have like all this ownership over the marketplace and stuff. Like I don't, agree with that, but I realize that, I don't know, there's not really a lot of options of places to work. And so obviously like I'll work for a company, but it's less about like serving the company and more about like just challenging myself and doing the best I can for my own like personal skill growth in whatever job I end up in. And I definitely still want to acknowledge that my perspective is shaded with the privilege of being able to even be in college right now. And, I totally understand that like if you're doing like service work, like it's not I don't expect people to be like, let me just be like the best service worker ever and so then I'll have fun at my job. Like, no, I like know what that's like. But, if you do have the opportunity to be in a job where you have a little bit more autonomy, I don't know, I feel like this perspective helped me a lot. So maybe it can help you a little bit too. I think another thing too that also enables me to have this perspective is that growing up, like the household I live in very much de-emphasized work. Like when I turned 16 and I really wanted to get a job so I could just like have some money to spend at like Starbucks, my mom really didn't want me to get a job because she was like, you can do better things with your time. Like money is not that important. Like, you have a roof over your head and food. Like why do you don't really need money, which is true, but I still got a job. And even my parents would be like, on certain days, they would literally say I'm like not allowed to work. Like they would just be like, no, you can't go. Like we don't care. Yeah, so this is just my take on that, why I don't really have a dream job or career. Like at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what job I end up in. I think it just matters that I'm just like developing skills and just generating value myself and not really expecting like my work to bring me happiness. So yeah, that's my take on this. Let me know all of your guys' thoughts below. I'd love to hear them per usual, and I'll see you in our next video. Bye!